September 29th. Tickets are on sale right now at the church office and on the Vine website at wbyn.org. Tickets also available at Daystar in Mount Vernon and Hope in the Future in Fairfield. It's an evening with the Sidewalk Prophets, Thursday, September 29th at Little Chapel Church in Harrisburg.
The best Christian music, 90.9 The Vine.
90.9 The Vine, in conjunction with AreaSports.net, proudly presents The Sports Couch. The Sports Couch is the area's only locally produced weekly sports show that is live on FM radio and also streamed live on both of our websites at AreaSports.net and at WBYN.org. We will be on the couch this morning. Let's find out. The Sports Couch is on the air right now. And good morning again, sports fans. It is 8:30 on a Saturday morning, and it is time for 90 minutes of great local sports talk. We call it the Sports Couch. I'm Randy Olson, live in studio, along with Danny Anselment. Rain, and more rain again, Danny. You know, we thought last week was bad as far as postponements and stuff with football, but I think last night might have even been worse.
Yeah, I think so, Randy. It was a lot of games never even got started last night. Mm-hmm. It hit and it started early and stayed late.
Well, I'll tell you what, it really did. We've got a few football coaches we are going to have on the show with us today. Kerry Martin of the Marion Wildcats will join us. They got their game in last night. We'll talk about his win over Cahokia. Joe Rivers and the Edwards County Lions won last week. They actually won on Monday of this week from last week's debacle with the rain. They're scheduled to play Fairfield tonight as they had to postpone that from last night. We'll talk to Joe Rivers here in just a little bit from Edwards County. Also, Brandon Hampton of the Eldorado Eagles, they got their game in last night and got a win, so we'll have him on the show. Brian Tackitt and the Flora Wolves postponed again. We'll talk to Brian about that. And their situation in Flora is they can't play till Monday.
Yeah, and come to find out why some of these games are getting pushed back to Monday, Randy, is because available officials to officiate the games. And this is just another example of the crisis that we have in high school sports with officiating. Just not enough to go around, and it's pretty scary to think where this could be headed. I know basketball, football, baseball, everything's having the same deal about getting enough officials, so if you're a young man and you want to stay connected to the game, you need to think about officiating.
Yeah, that's right. If you're listening to us live on 90.9 or 105.5 FM, a reminder we're also video streaming live on our sports website at AreaSports.net, and we have live audio streaming on WBYN.org. Also on the show, we're going to visit with Frank Cusumano, sportscaster for KSDK-TV Channel 5 in St. Louis. We'll talk to him about the Cardinals going down the stretch here, and if they've got any chance of making the playoffs, Danny. And then, of course, I know he'll weigh in also on his feelings about the L.A. Rams and how they've started and all that stuff with the NFL, too.
Well, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people from St. Louis not feeling much sympathy.
No. So we'll talk to Frank about that and a whole lot more coming up later in the show, so stay tuned. It's going to be a fun one today. Danny's going to run through the scores and kind of give you the schedule of postponed games this morning or later this afternoon, and then I'll get our first coach on the line.
All right, from the Black Diamond in Week 4, Christopher and Johnson City got canceled. They will play at 4 o'clock this afternoon at Johnston City. In the Black Diamond, the only game that got finished last night was Eldorado 54, Christopher 0. Eldorado took out their frustrations of the loss last week to Carmi on Christopher Bearcats last night. At 7 o'clock tonight, it'll be Fairfield to Edwards County. They didn't get started. At 5 o'clock tonight, it'll be Cesar-Valera at Chester. Cesar will get to make the long trip back over there. That game got underway. Chester leads 14-8. And at 11 o'clock this morning, Vienna will make a long road trip back to Hamilton County. That game never got underway, and they will start at 11 a.m. today. From the Little Illini Conference, Newton beat Red Hill 49-14. Casey Westfield falls to Robinson 22-0. Flora at Lawrenceville, that game is postponed till 7 o'clock on Monday. Marshall and Olney, they're postponed till 7 o'clock today. And Paris beat Freeburg 42-12. And from the Mississippi Valley, Jerseyville at Bethalto's at 7, Highland at Mascouta's at 1, and Triad and Waterloo's at 7.
And then real quick, those South 7 conference games last night, Danny, a couple of them did get in.
Mount Vernon and Althoff postponed till 2 this afternoon. Marion comes back and defeats Cahokia 23-20, and Centralia keeps rolling over Carbondale to move to 4-0 on the season, 41-7.
Yeah, how good are those Orphans this year?
Very good.
My goodness sakes, they are steamrolling everybody, aren't they? We'll talk to Kerry Martin, the coach of the Marion Wildcats, a little bit later on in the show and talk about their come-from-behind victory last night against Cahokia. Right now, though, we want to talk to Coach Joe Rivers of the Edwards County Lions. They were postponed last night, as Danny said. They'll try it again tonight in Albion against the Mules of Fairfield. It's a Black Diamond Conference matchup. They'll try it again tonight at 7 o'clock. Joe, how are you doing this morning?
A little tired of the Lightning.
Yeah, a little tired of the Lightning and probably a little soggy. How many changes of clothes have you gone through with all this rain?
We've been through 3 or 4, that's for sure. My wife's getting tired of doing the laundry.
I bet that's the case, yeah. Well, it's a good thing that nobody had to travel very far last night, with it being a game against Fairfield. At least travel wasn't a huge issue last night. But you get all geared up and you're all dressed up and you're working out and you're out there stretching. You're ready to play the game, and then Mother Nature won't let you. So it's a bit of a downer, isn't it?
Yeah, we had a real good pregame speech, had it all planned out, had every kid pretty excited. We stepped out the doors, and I was at the end of the line. I didn't even make it out the door of the locker room. They started coming back in.
Ain't that something?
Boy, oh boy.
Boy, it's been a bad run for football here. You know, Yuns got pushed back to Monday night last week. Talk a little bit about that victory.
It was nice to get these guys a victory, and a victory in that fashion, so that we could start to rebuild a little bit of tradition here.
Yeah, I think 42-0 was the final there over CZR. So you threw the shutout. So obviously your defense played very well.
Yeah, defense is really starting to fly around. That's been one of my focuses, is trying to improve the defense around here, and they're really starting to come together, starting to fly around a little better to the ball. We got a couple key guys back that had been injured the first few games. That helped us quite a bit. Our tailback came back. All those things kind of came together, and we turned the corner there a little bit.
Well, what's some of the keys on offense that helped you score 42 points on CZR? Tell us how that happened.
Well, the offense has been through a lot of changes here in the last 4 years, and these kids that are seniors are learning their fourth system in 4 years. So it's taken them a few weeks here to kind of figure out what they're doing exactly. They got a lot of questions every week, and we finally got the basis of our playbook, where the kids know what they're doing on our base plays, and that's helped a lot.
Well, talk a little bit about your game here today. You got the Fairfield Mules. That has to be kind of a rival deal there, as close as you two schools are located. Talk about this game coming up here this afternoon at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, we several years ago, this used to be quite a rivalry, and then because of all the conference flip-flopping, we lost the game. I think it's probably been 15, 16 years ago. And getting them back on the schedule is a big deal, but I think we got to kind of rekindle this rivalry a little bit. The kids all know each other because they're so close to us, and they've been talking a lot. So I don't think we'll have any problem making it into a rivalry game again, but we got to kind of get back to there. It's been a while since we played them in football. So, yeah, we look forward to playing them tonight. Fairfield's a very tough team. They're one of the better teams in the conference, I think, probably top 3 for sure. So it'll be quite a test for us to see just how much we've turned that corner.
Well, talk a little bit about your experience here in the Black Diamond now. You've got three weeks under your belt. You've moved to this Black Diamond Conference. Talk about, are you still happy that the Edwards County Lions have made that switch to the Black Diamond?
Oh, sure. I think long term, if we start to turn things around, we'll be a lot more competitive in this conference. Every coach that we've run into thus far has been very accommodating, very nice guys. Appreciated meeting them. It's going to be a good conference for us as we go forward. Yeah, we're not upset about the move, that's for sure.
You've had some success at the younger level there, I think, with your junior football league program and things like that, and it looks like maybe some of that's starting to pay dividends now, and probably even more so coming in the future. Isn't that right, Joe?
Yeah, our current sophomores I believe they were 6-3 in the JFL level. The 8th graders behind them were above 500, and the freshmen right now were above 500, and the current 8th graders I think are pretty decent. They had a key player get hurt here a few weeks ago, so that's kind of hurt them, but they've got a pretty decent group as well. So the next several years coming up, we've got some decent athletes coming through, and some good kids with good work ethics.
Well, how about your team? Are you pretty healthy heading into the night's contest?
We've still got everybody's pretty healthy. Our tailback we've been nursing. He didn't play the first 2 games. He came back and played 15 carries for 168 yards against CZR before I pulled him out because he was starting to hobble around. He's still a little gimpy. He's probably running about 85 to 90%. I'm hoping one more week maybe he'll do him good, but he's going to have to play anyway.
Yeah, right. On small school football, it's pretty important to keep your team healthy. And like you said, a key player here and a key player there can make a big difference in how your team performs week in and week out, couldn't it?
Yeah, no doubt about it. You need everybody healthy. You need your key guys healthy. I've got a couple key offensive linemen that if we had an issue with one of them, that would hurt us terribly. Any of those guys, we have a problem health-wise with any of them, we're going to be in trouble because we don't have a lot of replacements at the small schools.
Well, it's been a very interesting football season, that's for sure. Mother Nature has wreaked havoc. Hopefully, the next few weeks to come, things will get lined out here and we can start getting back to some reality in football.
Right. 20 years I've coached high school football, and I think I've had 2 lightning delays in 20 years, and now I've had 2 weeks, back-to-back here.
Yeah, isn't that something? It really is. All right. Well, Coach, thanks so much for joining us this morning on the Sports Couch. Congratulations on your win Monday night there at CZR, and that's the school's first win in the Black Diamond Conference, which is great. And good luck tonight as you take on Fairfield, and let's hope you get the game in tonight.
Yeah, I hope so. For sure. There's a chance of storms again tonight.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yep. All right. Have a good day. Appreciate it. Okay. Bye-bye. It's Joe Rivers. He is the head football coach over at Edwards County, and they're pretty fired up over there after that win against CZR last week, 42-0.
Well, they need to be fired up heading for the Fairfield Mules coming over there tonight because that'll be a big challenge for Edwards County Lions.
I would expect there to be quite a crowd there tonight, wouldn't you say?
I would think so. Especially if this weather will get out of here. That's another thing, Randy. When you have weather like this, it's hard to get people excited and want them to come out. Who would have really thought about if you didn't have a child playing last night? Would you want to gather up and head out and drive 20, 30, 40, 50 miles to a football game knowing that there was a real good chance that it wasn't going to get played?
Well, that's a good point because, the weather was pretty frightening all night last night.
You knew you was going to go and sit in the rain, and there was probably going to be a rain delay or a lightning delay, and it was just going to be a nasty, miserable night. So you need nice weather for people to come out and support these kids and watch them play and perform.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to visit with Coach Brandon Hampton of the Eldorado Eagles. They got their game in last night. Another win for the Eldorado football program. We'll talk to him about that coming up next on the Sports Couch. Stay with us.
It's the local sports talk show that everyone is talking about. It's the Sports Couch on 90.9 The Vine and AreaSports.net.
Underwriting on the Vine is made possible by Fairfield Printing and Graphics. They specialize in screen printing of t-shirts, sweatshirts, and hoodies with your favorite team name and colors. They also do printing of envelopes, stationery, posters, and business cards, and they also make outdoor banners in a variety of sizes and colors. Fairfield Printing and Graphics is located at number 5 Williamson Drive in Fairfield. Their phone number is 842-4048.
Crawford Plumbing, LLC in Woodlawn is licensed, bonded, insured, and ready to serve your household and business plumbing needs. From leaky faucets to complete plumbing systems and repair, Crawford Plumbing in Woodlawn is a full-service plumbing company. They can be reached at 618-242-3360. Crawford Plumbing in Woodlawn is a proud underwriting sponsor of Real Life Radio.
Prominent Technologies in McLeansboro is an underwriting supporter of the Vine. Chad May and Prominent Technology specialize in computer and laptop repair, IT system upgrades, virus protection software, digital security camera installation, and on-location consulting. Prominent Technologies are computer problem solvers, and they have a long list of satisfied customers. Their phone number is 643-7114, and they are located just north of the square in McLeansboro.
Music and ministry on the Vine is provided by Tony Wilt State Farm Insurance Agency in Mount Vernon. Tony Wilt State Farm Insurance Agency specializes in providing your life, health, auto, and home insurance, as well as complete financial services. They are located at 4121 South Water Tower Place in Mount Vernon. Their phone number is 242-1421, and their website is tonywilt.com. We are grateful for their underwriting support.
And welcome back to the Sports Couch here live on a Saturday morning on 105.5 and 90.9 The Vine Radio, and also streaming live worldwide on both of our websites. Live video streaming at AreaSports.net and live audio streaming at WVYN.org. I'm Randy Olson, live in studio along with Danny Anselment. One of the games that did get in last night, the Eldorado Eagles with another big win last night as they tossed another shutout as well. And joining us on the phone is Coach Brandon Hampton. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing good this morning, guys. Thanks for having us on.
You bet. And another win for your Eagles last night, another shutout. And you're probably just glad you got the game in as well because so many of them didn't get in last night, did they?
You're exactly right. It's been a unique fall for sure with the weather popping up every Friday or Saturday. So a real challenge when you don't get them in. Fortunately for us, we're able to play 2 quarters last night without a delay, and our football team jumped on them real quick right away. So it's 54-0 at the half, and we just decided to call it at that point. But glad we were able to get it in.
Mm-hmm. Well, Coach, it's definitely been a challenge. You got rained out last Friday night. You had your game with Carmi over there. You come up a little short in that contest, and I'd look for the Eldorado Eagles to come out of the gate with some fire in their eyes last night, and it sounded like that happened.
Yeah, it's a real credit to our team. It's the first time we'd had any adversity in our program in quite some time, and our kids were great starting on Monday with their preparation and carried it over into the game last night. And I was just proud of how they went out and handled their business. That's what a good team. That's what a good football team does when they're in that situation. They jump on them early, take any doubt away that they can. And fortunately for us, we did it, so we didn't have to fool around and keep playing when the weather got bad.
Well, after 4 weeks now, what's your kind of feel on this conference, and what are you thinking? Some big things yet to come.
I think for us, it's real important to continue to get better each and every week. Another thing I feel pretty fortunate about is we won 2 football games where it was called at halftime, and I think we talked a few weeks ago. They can mess with a kid's individual stats and kind of skew those with your seasonal stats. But I feel real fortunate that we got some guys that are going to be fresh down the stretch and not have too many miles on their tires, so to speak, for some of our running backs. But I think the conference is a wide open race. I don't think anybody will go through the conference undefeated. Easy for me to say because obviously we're not going to. But interesting game with Carmi and Johnson City. But real impressed with Fairfield when I've seen them on film. And I think we got a tough ball game coming up with them down the road. But I think it's shaping up to be real interesting the last couple of weeks of the season.
Hey, I have to agree with you, Coach. You look at the Carmi, Johnson City, Eldorado, and Fairfield. Any of those 4 teams could come out of this thing, and you could even throw the Chester Yellow Jackets in there.
Yeah, Chester's. Yeah, I agree. Chester's right there. It's like us. They got 1 loss early in the season, and we got to go to their place when we play Week 9. Both teams ultimately could be right there in the playoff race, obviously, or right there in the conference championship hunt again.
Yeah. I know it's not easy to talk a little bit, but last week in that game over at Carmi, it probably came down to a couple turnovers was the difference in that game, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly right. That's a great point. You know, we had two turnovers, which led to 14 points for them. One of them, they scoop it and score on that play. The other fumble inside our territory. They score 2 or 3 plays later. But the real story in that game was Jake Simon and the way he played both Friday and Saturday. I'm sure a lot of people noticed the stats. He went 16 out of 20 for 200 and some odd yards, but that doesn't tell the whole story because he had 3 drops and he threw 1 ball away. So, you know, he very easily could have been 20 out of 20 or 19 out of 20 or however you want to dice that up. And, you know, you don't see that very often. What a real talent. He deserves a lot of credit. It's neat to see a good kid from a good family have success. And we had to put that one in a rearview mirror real quick, had to learn from the mistakes that were made, and had to focus on get better this week against CZR. And I think when we took the field last night, we were a hungry football team.
Yeah, I said I didn't want to be the Christopher Bearcats last night facing your Eldorado Eagles because I knew it was going to be a long night because the sting of that defeat, you know, and sometimes, Coach, you know, there's never a good loss, but like you said, sometimes you learn some valuable lessons, and it brought to the forefront some things that you probably needed to work on to be in this top race of this Black Diamond Conference. So, you know, yeah, you got to use it as a learning experience and go on, and it looks like your Eldorado Eagles did that last night.
Well, that's a real credit to our players that they go about their business the right way, and then they prepare and do things they need to do to have success. And we're real fortunate to be a part of it.
Well, you know, Coach, I always love it when you give your kids credit, but sometimes you guys need to take credit for this too, because you have a major influence on these kids, and you're trying to teach them and show them the right things and the right way to do things, and setting by a good example, leading. So don't ever sell yourself and your staff short, because those kids, you're a major impact on those kids.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, and we do the best we can. We fail from time to time, but whether they agree with a play call here or a play call there, they can be assured that our first and foremost, we care about our players, and they know it.
Well, you know, you touched upon that last week, the trust factor. You said, you know, you trusted your kids to make a big 4th down, and then they trusted you the next time you made a call. And sometimes it works out good for both groups, and sometimes it doesn't work, but it's not because of lack of effort.
Yeah, you know, we got a very close football team. This senior class has played a lot of football for us, and very experienced group. Played in some big ball games, and fortunate to have the relationships that we've formed with these kids over the last 4 years.
Well, I guess one good thing that came out of the weather last night, Coach, is the fact that if you choose to, you've got an opportunity to scout a couple of games today. I mean, you could go down and check out that Johnson City game, and you could check out that Fairfield game tonight if you chose to.
Yeah, you got a lot of opportunities. Hamilton County is our next opponent. They're playing at 11, 20 miles up the road. So we'll get out and maybe do a little something there. But we got our football team coming in right now. They're going to kind of get going on next week's preparation. Run today, lift today, and get ready for a big homecoming week.
Yeah, all right. Everybody come out healthy last night out of that game?
Yeah, you know, we did. We had a couple guys very limited last night. We held one guy out in particular and limited another guy from a very physical contest last week. And so hopefully we can use these next 2 weeks, continue to get healthy. With this week we got an extra day off playing on a Saturday afternoon, so we'll use that time wisely to prepare.
All right.
Well, Coach, good luck.
Thank you, guys.
See you over at Hamilton County next week.
Appreciate you joining us.
Sounds good.
All right. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, huh?
You do the same.
Yep.
All right.
Bye-bye. That's Coach Brandon Hampton of the Eldorado Eagles. They're getting ready for their team meeting coming up here at 9 o'clock. Appreciate him squeezing us in this morning here on the Sports Couch. And, yeah, boy, they came back strong in a very dominant way last night, playing one half against CZR. And, again, very wisely calling the game after a half because of the weather. No reason to come back and try to play today when the game is not in doubt. 54-0, is that what it was? Yeah.
Yeah, you know, good judgment. You know, Randy, that's just the way it is. It just sometimes you got to say, hey, the better team's ahead here. There's nothing to prove by going back, making a trip back to Eldorado this afternoon. The score was going to be whatever Brandon Hampton wanted it to be.
Yeah. Well, let's finish with the rest of our scoreboard. I think we got down to the river to river. Let's go through some of those scores and schedules of rescheduled games for today and tonight.
All right, from the river to river, we never hit on them. Last night, Carterville-DuQuoin was postponed. They're going to play at 6 o'clock. One game that did get in, Anna Jonesboro remains undefeated on the season, 26-20. They defeat Nashville in a heck of a contest, I guess, down there last night. Pinckneyville leads Sparta 7-0. That's postponed till 7 tonight. Benton is going to host Heron. That'll be played at 2 o'clock this afternoon. In a game that was final, Murfreesboro 47, Massac County 7. And Harrisburg West Frankfort was postponed till 2 o'clock this afternoon. From the Apollo Conference, Effingham defeated Charleston 27-7, Mount Zion 48, Mattoon 19, Taylorville 36, Salem 14. From the Cahokia, Breeze Central will be at Carlisle this afternoon at 2. Columbia will be at Trenton Westland at a high noon shootout. DuPont will take on Redbud at 7 p.m. And a game that had a 2-hour bus drive for the Mount Carmel Aces plus a 2-hour lightning delay. They trailed 14-0, and they came back and defeated Breeze Mater Dei 27-20 in a battle up there last night at Breeze.
And I've been texting back and forth with Kyle Peach, the broadcaster for the Mount Carmel Aces. We're going to see if we can squeeze him in this morning before we get into our visit with Frank Cusumano from KSDK-TV Channel 5 later on this morning. I'd like to hear a little bit more about the Aces and how they're doing this year. Obviously playing some good football, and don't you know that was a battle last night?
Oh, that had to be a heck of a game up there last night. And, you know, to ride a bus 2 hours to go play and get ready to play and then have a lightning delay for 2 hours, you know, it's pretty hard to keep that mentality and pumped up and be ready to go play. So it was a challenge for the Mount Carmel Aces. And then to fall behind 14-0.
Yep.
And to come back, the battle and come back and win that contest 27-20 speaks a lot for their team.
Yeah, it sure does. Well, again, as you go through those postponements and those times for games later on today, you see they're all over the road, Danny. I mean, you got one game starting at 11 o'clock, you got another one at 1 o'clock, you got one at 2, you got one at 4, you got a couple at 6 and at 7. I mean, and they're scattered different times. And, again, a lot of that is because of the officials. And so some of these officials are planning, or hopefully planning, to be able to do, maybe that 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock game and then be somewhere else for a 7 o'clock game.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure these officials are going to be on. Oh, and I also am going to stand corrected. My wife is critiquing me here this morning on the show.
Uh-oh.
She said, I mentioned earlier that if there's any young men, she said, what about young women? She said there's some young women that would make good officials, and if they're interested, they need to get involved also, like in girls basketball and volleyball and stuff like that. So if there's any young ladies out there that would like to become officials, they'd be glad to have yins also.
Good point you made there, Claire. Good point. Yeah. Do we need to get Claire on the phone?
So that's, maybe that, I mean, that just goes to show you that there is somebody listening to us.
Oh, well, we know that. We can see the stats here on our stream, too, and we appreciate those of you who are watching the live video stream this morning as well on AreaSports.net, and a neat new feature that we have here each and every Saturday morning. So we have live video streaming on AreaSports.net, live audio streaming on WVYN.org, and then, of course, over the radio airwaves at 90.9 and 105.5. Again, still to come in the show, we're going to be visiting with Coach Kerry Martin of the Marion Wildcats. They had a crazy come-from-behind victory last night against Cahokia. It sounds like that was a good one.
Yeah, I didn't hear much on that game there last night, but it sounded like it was definitely interesting. I think Marion was trailing quite a bit in that game and come back to win on a wild play.
Well, and they had to have a big defensive stand, too. We'll talk to him about that, a big defensive stick by one of his big linemen, I believe. And what an athlete he's got in Jaden Lacey. This guy, you've been hearing about him for a number of years now. And Lacey, again, with a couple of big plays last night. He had a long kickoff return for a touchdown and scored the go-ahead and eventually winning touchdown in that game, too, against Cahokia. And with that tough schedule that Marion plays, that tough non-conference schedule, I should say, that's actually the Wildcats' first win of the season because, they started the year against, Galesburg and some team down in Tennessee and, just crazy schedule that they play. And so we'll talk to Kerry about that coming up later in the show.
I just got a message here from official Ron Stannard. He said he'd been asked more than once about officiating football and basketball, and he said I had really no good answer on which one, but he said I've never had a basketball game postponed by lightning and rain.
That's a good point, Ron. That's a good point. Yeah. If you stick with basketball, you won't have any rainouts, I guess, or snowouts or whatever. Well, yeah, I guess you could have a snowout if people can't get there.
Yeah.
But,
snow's about the only thing that plays havoc.
But no lightning. Yeah.
No lightning and no rain.
No 30-minute delays for lightning inside the gym. That's true. Good point there.
I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah. Also coming up, we're going to visit, of course, with Frank Cusumano of KSDK-TV Channel 5, sportscaster over there in St. Louis. Do the Cardinals still have a chance to sneak in? I don't know after last night. These 2 games they've played so far in San Francisco against the Giants, not good. And so they're behind the 8 ball. We'll talk to Frank about that, let him weigh in. And I know that Frank's going to have some things to say about Mr. Kroenke and the L.A. Rams. And I think that Frank, like so many other people, are not feeling too bad that the Rams are struggling there in Los Angeles.
Well, I've seen some highlights of a news clipping this week that Jeff Fisher's already catching some heat out in L.A. because of the way his team has performed. I don't think they'll be quite as compassionate to the Rams out there as St. Louis was.
No, I don't think they will be. Stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to visit with Brian Tackitt of the Flora Wolves. They did not get their game in last night either, so it's rescheduled for Monday. That's right. They're going to play on Monday. We'll talk to him about it coming up next.
It's the local sports talk show that everyone is talking about. It's the Sports Couch on 90.9 The Vine and AreaSports.net.
This is your home for best Christian music.
WVYN, Blueford, Wayne City, Fairfield, Mount Vernon.
And now on Translator, W288CO Centralia, broadcasting at 105.5.
A service of Real Life Radio Foundation.
The best Christian music. 90.9 The Vine.
Real Life Radio is grateful for the underwriting support of Taylor Flooring in Mount Vernon. Located at 328 Main Street in Mount Vernon, Taylor Flooring specializes in the sales, service, and installation of top brands such as Mohawk, Southwind, and LW Mountain. 100% locally owned and operated by Mark and Sherry Taylor, Taylor Flooring in Mount Vernon has your flooring needs covered. Their phone number is 315-6004. Monthly financial support of local Christian radio is provided by Home Source Warehouse in Mount Vernon. Located 4 miles north of Mount Vernon on Route 37, Home Source Warehouse offers a warehouse full of quality furniture and mattresses with legendary service. Open Thursday and Friday 10 to 6, Saturday 10 to 3. You can find them on Facebook, and their website is homesourcewarehouse.net. Their phone number is 204-5515. Home Source Warehouse, where style is affordable.
You've heard the old saying, practice makes perfect. Well, there's actually a lot of truth to that, and you can get one-on-one instruction in baseball, softball, basketball, as well as speed and agility drills at the Sports Zone in Fairfield. The Sports Zone has been in business for quite some time now and has helped many area boy and girl athletes excel in their sport of choice. Lessons and practice times are available at convenient times that meet your schedule. The Sports Zone is located on Delaware Street in Fairfield, and we appreciate their support.
Financial support for local Christian radio is provided by Realtor Mark Terry, broker for MG Foley Real Estate Incorporated. Mark Terry is a full-time realtor working for you. If you're buying your first home or your first home in many years, Mark Terry offers full-time service as you seek a new home. Mark's office is located at 2019 Broadway in Mount Vernon, and his phone number is 214-4317.
Here's what's happening at the Vine.
Don't miss an evening with the Sidewalk Prophets at Little Chapel Church in Harrisburg on Thursday, September 29th. Tickets are on sale right now at the church office and on the Vine website at wvyn.org. Tickets also available at Daystar in Mount Vernon and Hope in the Future in Fairfield. It's an evening with the Sidewalk Prophets, Thursday, September 29th at Little Chapel Church in Harrisburg.
The best Christian music. 90.9 The Vine.
And welcome back to the Sports Couch here live on a Saturday morning on 105.5 and 90.9 The Vine Radio, and streaming live worldwide on both of our websites. Live video streaming at AreaSports.net, live audio streaming at WVYN.org. I'm Randy Olson, live in studio. And the Flora Wolves, well, they were rained out last night along with a lot of other teams here in Southern Illinois in Little Illini Conference football. The Wolves at home at Dancy Field, hoping to take on the Lawrenceville Indians, but Mother Nature didn't allow that to happen, so they've postponed their game until Monday, Danny, Monday. And again, another situation with the officials. So,
yeah, you know, it's a constant battle, and this rain is playing havoc with people right now.
It really is. We got Coach Brian Tackitt of the Flora Wolves on the phone with us right now. Good morning, Brian. How are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Oh, just fine. Well, did you get any of the games started last night at all?
No, we got our pregame warm-ups then, and they took us off the field about 6:50 or so, and never came back out. Well, I take that back. We came back out at 8:15, and was going to give it a go, and they said one more strike of lightning would be it for the night. And I think we was out for about 2 minutes, if that, and it's all lightning. So.
Well, not only is it a tough thing for the officials, too, and finding them, which has helped to cause your game to be forced to Monday night, but that's a long bus ride for Lawrenceville, not only for their team, but for their fans, and now they got to go all the way back and then come back again Monday, and it's tough on everybody, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We was in that situation last week having to come back from KZ, and one thing that helped us was at least a 1:30 start on Saturday. Our officials could do 10 o'clock today. Coach Wood, and he didn't want to come back on such a quick turnaround, and I wouldn't have either, and I was not going to ask him to do something that I wouldn't want to do myself. So
sure,
and they couldn't do anything else today, and I'm sure there's ADs scrambling to get guys, and a lot of people don't realize that a lot of these crews are doing small college games today, so tough to get guys, and the only thing we could give Lawrenceville last night when they left concrete was Monday at 7, and that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. Okay. There were a couple of games played last night in the Little Illini. You had Newton, again, flexing their muscle as the Eagles beat Red Hill 49-14. And in a non-conference game, Paris got a win last night out of the conference against Freeburg, 42-12. Any comment on those games?
Well, I know the Red Hill played Newton really, really well last year, and I think it was 21-7 at half this year as well, too. And I don't know what Red Hill does against them, but they play them well. I know that score 49-14 or whatever it was, not really tell the whole story. I think Red Hill played them pretty well for a while anyway. Red Hill's tough-nosed little 1A school. They're got good tough kids there. And then the Parish game, that was good for the conference, for a playoff point. And I don't know anything about Freeburg, but I know Paris has struggled the last few years. New coach, Coach Codfelter from Benton, so you probably familiar with him a little bit down that way. But it's good for them. We congratulate them and their program getting on the win column, because that's the first thing Lawrenceville said last night when we were just talking was how much Paris has improved and how well he's done down there. So it's good to see those kids get a win.
And Robinson also defeated Casey Westfield 22-0.
Yeah, that surprised us a little bit. Both teams got good athletes and can do things, but we thought Casey was maybe a little better than Robinson, but I don't know the situation and the plan in rain and that sort of thing and how that can affect games too. But it was good for Robinson to pick up their first win of the year too.
Well, Coach, now what goes into getting your team pumped up and ready to play again for Monday night?
Well, we were ready last night. I feel bad for the kids, but we got to recreate that, on a Monday night and do the local radio, here in the mornings as well. And one thing I told him is as a fan, I love NFL Thursday night football. To be able to come home and watch a game on what would be a slow night, but now I know what those coaches go through, because we're kind of going through the same time frame. Play Monday, and then we've got to play Olney, which will be a huge game for us, next Friday. So we've got to, we just got done with a little walk-through practice here in the mud on the practice field, but we wanted to get the kids up out of bed like we usually would to watch film and make sure they were in bed last night and not getting into trouble, and not that they would, but just go over things again with Lawrenceville, and we had a student body that was just pumped up Friday at school for our big game, so hopefully we can get that again from them. We had a lot of people in the stands last night, so I hope they can come back on Monday night and recreate what a great atmosphere we had last night for what little time we were here.
Well, I guess the only good thing probably out of it is that Olney's going to play Marshall tonight at 7 p.m., and I guess you'll probably scamper over there and take a check at those two teams.
Yeah, we have not seen Olney on film yet, and that's the first thing I said when I walked in the house last night to my wife was, those plans we had tomorrow night, those are not going to happen because I'm going to go to Olney and we gotta watch Olney, and I know we'll get the film, but it's just good to see a team live and see what their live speed is like, and there's a difference between watching a team live versus watching a team on film, and we've got the opportunity, so we're going to do that, and she knows in a few weeks I won't be canceling plans, but anything that we plan during the football season's kind of got an asterisk by it, so it should be.
Yeah, but you still earned a lot of points last night when you came home and made that statement.
Yeah, exactly.
She's going to remember that one down the line a little bit. You realize
that just cost you double.
Yeah, that's right. That's true.
Yeah, there's going to be something new she's going to be wanting for the house here real soon, and you're going to have a hard time. You're going to have a hard time saying no.
Yeah, as soon as I get home this morning, it's going to be like, remember that afternoon off you had? Well, I need you to do this.
That's right.
It'll be something.
Yeah, that is right. Okay, well, got a lot of college football going on today as well, and tonight, and the Cardinals. Boy, I don't know. I think they're in trouble now. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I got home last night and turned them on to see the disastrous third or fourth inning, whichever one it was. I don't know. I used to hold hope for them to make it to that wild card game, but I don't know. I don't think they're going to make it.
The schedule doesn't favor them at this point.
No, schedule's tough.
Really doesn't. And the Mets have got a whole bunch of home games here down the stretch, so yeah, it's going to be tough.
I don't know.
But,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure the Cardinals want to.
I don't.
It looks to me like the passion and the fight's gone.
Yeah, if they got there to be on the road, and then you're looking at facing Bumgardner or Cueto in a one game
or Syndergaard.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I guess you'd want to get there if you can, but it may be best just to put the season out of its misery and go on to 2017.
Yeah. Well, Brian, we appreciate you joining us on the Sports Couch. Sorry you didn't get your game in last night, but, hey, you enjoy that over there at Olney tonight, okay?
Yeah, I will, and I heard you had Coach Martin on again this morning. So
yes, he's going to be on with us here in, about 10 minutes or so.
Well, you tell him we said hello from down in Flora, and congrats on his win last night.
All right, great. We'll pass that along to him, okay?
All right.
Appreciate it, Brian. Okay. Take care. Bye-bye. That is Coach Brian Tackitt of the Flora Wolves. Did not get their game in last night. That's 2 weeks in a row that they've been postponed. Last week they had to make the long trip back to Casey. This time Lawrenceville's got to come to them, and they can't play it until Monday night because of the official situation. He made a good point there, too, Danny, when he said, some of these high school football officials are actually doing some small college games today, too, so that presents a problem.
Yeah, there's just when you can't play on Friday night as things are scheduled, it gets pretty topsy-turvy.
It sure does. It sure does. Well, like I say, still to come, we're going to talk to Coach Kerry Martin of the Marion Wildcats about their win last night over the Cahokia Comanches, and then we'll visit with Frank Cusumano, sportscaster for KSDK-TV Channel 5. We'll talk about the Cardinals, the Rams, probably some college football. Who knows what all we'll get into with Frank, all coming up. So stay with us here on the Sports Couch. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
It's the local sports talk show that everyone is talking about. It's the Sports Couch on 90.9 The Vine and AreaSports.net.
Programming for local Christian radio is made possible by Ideal Furniture of Cesar. In business since 1982, Ideal Furniture provides personal service from owners Joshua and Ashley Qualls. Ideal Furniture of Cesar offers national brands, factory warranties, delivery and pickup, and special savings for veterans. They are located across the street from the custard stand in downtown Cesar at 410 West Franklin, and their phone number is 663-0642.
Get rid of your old documents and help keep your identity safe. Join F&B's Shred Day, Saturday, October 1st from 9 a.m. until noon at our Fairfield location to recycle and safely shred up to 50 pounds of paper materials. We'll also be e-cycling old computers, monitors, printers, and other various electronics with a limit of 1 TV per vehicle. Want even more protection? Ask us about Secure Plus checking, helping to protect your identity beyond your bank account. F&B, Banking Business Life, member FDIC.
And welcome back to the Sports Couch here live on a Saturday morning on 105.5 and 90.9 The Vine Radio, and also streaming live worldwide on both of our websites, live video streaming at AreaSports.net and live audio streaming at WVYN.org. I'm Randy Olson, live in studio. We'll be visiting with Coach Kerry Martin of the Marion Wildcats here in a little bit, and also Frank Cusumano of KSDK-TV Channel 5 will be joining us as well. And, Danny, let's go back to the top again and talk about the Black Diamond, the Little Illini, Mississippi Valley, and South 7 Conference, and those scores from last night, and then also, what we got into as far as postponements and when they're going to play.
All right, from the Black Diamond Conference today in a matchup to see who can stay at the top of the pack, it's going to be Carmi at Johnson City. That's going to be at 4 o'clock. Both those teams are 3-0 headed in today's contest, so somebody's going to leave there with a goose egg, and somebody's going to have a 1. Eldorado defeats Christopher in a half last night, 54-0. So Eldorado comes off that stinging defeat to Carmi last week, and they took out their aggression on Christopher last night. Fairfield will make the trip back over to Edwards County tonight at 7 p.m. Chester leads Cesar-Valere 14-8. And that'll be at 5 o'clock tonight. That will resume. So Cesar made the trip to Chester last night, and they'll turn around and make it again this afternoon. And at 11 o'clock, won't be long, and it'll be tip-off time. Hamilton County's going to take on Vienna at 11 a.m. today. From the Little Illini, Newton stays undefeated with a 49-14 victory over Red Hill. Robinson defeats Casey Westfield 22-0. Flora will take on Lawrenceville Monday night at 7 o'clock. Officiating problems led to that game being played Monday night at 7 o'clock. Marshall and Alany's going to play at 7 p.m. tonight. And Paris, Coach Claude Felter, formerly of the Benton Rangers, gets his first victory up there last night, 42-12 in a non-conference action. From the Mississippi Valley, Bethalto and Jerseyville will play at 7 p.m. Highland and Muscota is going to kick off at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Triad and Waterloo will play at 7. From the South 7 Conference, Belleville-Althoff will make the trek back to Mount Vernon. They'll play at 2 p.m. this afternoon. In a big game last night down at Marion, Marion comes back and defeats Cokia 23-20. We're going to talk to Coach Martin here in a few minutes, and he should be pretty excited here this morning. Marion gets their first win of the season. And Centralia improves to 4-0. With a 41-7 victory over Carbondale last night down at Carbondale. So the Orphans are 4-0, probably looking toward a shootout between them and Belleville-Althoff for that South 7 Conference Championship.
Yeah, I would say so. And, because of the weather situation, that's going to give Centralia a chance to scout that game against Belleville-Althoff and Mount Vernon later this afternoon. So Centralia get to come down and watch that one.
Well, like the coach we just talked to said, you can watch them on film, and you don't really get to see the size of some of these kids and the speed, live speed. And when you can go and watch it and see live speed, it looks a whole lot different than it does watching it on a film sometimes.
Yeah, it sure does. Some big college football games today, too. SIU Salukis will take on Murray State. You got some ranked teams playing each other today, too. You got Florida State down at Louisville. That's the big one, and that's where ESPN Game Day is at this morning. Florida State, I think, ranked, second or third, and Louisville also ranked.
Who's them Spartans? What cupcake they got on the schedule?
They have no
for this
cupcake
week?
today. It's Michigan State at Notre Dame today.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're going to play somebody this week, huh?
Oh, yeah. Michigan State at Notre Dame. That's a big one.
I can't believe.
Yeah, that's a big
I
one.
figured we'd have Georgia Southern or somebody like that on the schedule this week.
No.
You could really tell me how good they are.
We're getting into the big ones today. That's for sure. Also today you've got 13th ranked Iowa taking on North Dakota State. Number 9 Wisconsin taking on Georgia State.
See, there's one of your cupcake games.
Yeah, there you go. How about Alabama and Mississippi? We missed an opportunity to ask Brandon Hampton about the Alabama game today, but they're heavily favored today against Mississippi. That's at Mississippi, though. Michigan Wolverines, they've been getting so much hype at the beginning of the season. We'll see if that hype lives up to anything, as they'll be at home hosting Colorado today, and Colorado comes in at 2-0. So we'll see how that is. And the Illinois Fighting Illini at home this afternoon taking on Western Michigan. A lot of buzz up in Champaign with Lovie Smith as a coach.
Well, it's going to take him a while to create that new atmosphere and get him some players in there that perform to his expectations. Sometimes you just have to have a good house cleaning, and it takes a little while. But I think people will get really excited about what Lovie's going to do up there. He's going to get that thing turned around, and the Illini is going to hopefully get back to where they're a force to be reckoned to in that Big Ten Conference. Looking at some other scores last night from the river to river, Carterville is going to play DuQuoin at 6 o'clock tonight. That should be a good matchup. Anna Jonesboro remains undefeated on the season. They defeat Nashville 26-20. Pinckneyville is going to play Sparta at 7 tonight. Pinckneyville leads 7-0. Heron and Benton will kick off at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Murfreesboro dominated Massac County 47-7 last night. And in an interesting game, West Frankfort and Harrisburg, they got started. Nobody scored. This West Frankfort team has really improved, Randy, and that's going to be a good matchup there today. That will continue at 2 o'clock.
All right, so a lot of football action around the area today in high school football this afternoon and tonight, with the earliest one, as we said, starting at 11 o'clock this morning down at McLeansboro. Well, one game that they did get in last night was the game between the Marion Wildcats and the Cahokia Comanches, and Marion came from behind late in the contest to win it in exciting fashion, 23-20, and joining us on the phone right now is the head coach of the Wildcats, Kerry Martin. Good morning, Coach Martin. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Good. Great to have you on the Sports Couch. Congratulations on the win last night. I know that was a hard-fought victory. You came from behind late on a touchdown by Jaden Lacey, and, boy, he's a special athlete who had a special game last night, didn't he?
He does a lot of good things, and he's an exciting player to watch, and he's an exciting player to coach, and he finds a way to get in the end zone nearly every week, and it can be a myriad of ways. He can do it in the air, on the ground, special teams, whatever it might be. And he's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, he had a kickoff return last night for a touchdown, I believe, and then, of course, he scored that late touchdown to put you ahead 23-20, which ultimately was the game-winning touchdown. And then I guess you had a huge defensive stop on Cahokia there late in the game, and apparently a big defensive stick by Xavier Cambridge. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, and our defense has played much better than our scores have indicated. I think our defense has been opportunistic at times and really made some big plays. And at that moment in the ball game, we had to have a big play late, and they were kind of driving the ball to try to win this thing. And our defense made a stand, and we got some penetration and made a tackle behind the line of scrimmage, and caused a fumble, and it was just a huge moment for our season. We had to have this win and get back on the right track, and that was a big play.
Yeah, that was your first win of the season because your first 3 games, of course, all non-conference games, and you've got a brutal schedule. I mean, let's face it, you really do. You get those non-conference games are tough, aren't they?
Yeah, we knew going into the season that we were facing maybe the toughest schedule we've had since I've been here, certainly, and maybe in school history. And we don't complain about it. It just is what it is. I mean, it's part of being a big school in Southern Illinois and trying to find games. And Mount Vernon's been through that, I know. And when Dan was there, they struggled to find games, and we're traveling all over the country. And we're kind of in that same boat right now. And it just we were hoping to get 2 out of the first 3 at least. Hoping to maybe salvage one of those, Randy, and we ended up getting none of them, and that really set us back. We played 2 of them extremely close, but hopefully it made us better as a team and made us better as a program playing that kind of competition.
Well, if there's anything good to come out of that weather situation last night, it's the fact that it gives you an opportunity to go scout today if you choose to. At 2 o'clock kickoff this afternoon in Mount Vernon between Belleville-Altoff and the Rams, so give you a chance to see both those teams who you'll face a little bit later on in South 7 Conference play.
In fact, that's our next 2 opponents. So, it's, one of those things where we're enjoying today, but we know we've got to go back to work very, very soon. And we got a tough South 7 road to get down. And Mount Vernon always plays us tough every year. We've always played them tough, regardless of the records. And I know we'll have a good game next Friday. And then, of course, we have Altoff Centralia back-to-back after that. So the only thing we can do is prepare for the Rams and hopefully try to get a second win in a row and keep getting better as a football team.
And if you look at the score last night between Centralia and Carbondale, looks like the Orphans are rolling, aren't they?
Well, they are. I hate to see that. So, they really are. They're rolling, and I know they lost some really good players, and some people were kind of hoping that maybe they might be not quite as good, but it looks like they're right back where they were a year ago with that really dangerous quarterback. So, but it's so easy to look at scores and compare scores. And the only thing we can do right now is just get ready for the Rams because I know that we're in no place right now to look beyond anybody, and we just got to keep getting better. And we've had our best week of practice last week, which I thought gave us a chance to win this ball game last night. And hopefully we can start putting together more good weeks of practice and continue to get better so we can compete down the road with some really, really good teams at the end of our schedule and to compete with the Rams on Friday.
We're visiting with Coach Kerry Martin of the Marion Wildcats. And, Kerry, we had Coach Brian Tackitt of the Flora Wolves on with us earlier. He said to pass along congratulations to you on the win last night, as you've got some ties certainly back here at Flora.
Oh, my gosh, absolutely. Flora's was a great home for myself and my family, and I had 3 of the most fun years of coaching in my life in that town. And I got a chance to go back last year and speak and to a fundraising group and just had the time of my life. And some of the best people I've ever been around in my life were in that town of Flora, Illinois. And I'm as close to the former players there as any place I've coached, even though it was only 3 years. And Brian's certainly one of them, and he's a special kid and a great young coach. And I'm proud of him, and I'm proud of the Flora Wolves. And, I have great ties to that community.
And another community that you've got ties to, and Danny and I were just talking about this earlier, is the fact that you had a chance to go back and have a special reunion with the guys that you coached the state championship at Carterville last week. Talk about that event. That had to be a very special evening for you.
Wow, and was it ever? It's I knew they were talking about having a reunion, and of course, I doubted I'd be able to go because of my schedule of games, and lo and behold, we didn't play until Saturday last week by schedule, and they had it on the night I played on Saturday. And so I was able to go last Friday night and to see the Carterville Lions play and to have a reunion with my former players and a lot of the students from that class and some of the coaches. And it was one of the best nights of my coaching career to haven't seen some of those guys just periodically here and there. Some of them I hadn't seen in 20 years. And we had a great night. We had a tent in the end zone, watched the game and reminisced about a lot of great stuff and told stories, and just it's a special group. It's funny, Randy, I hadn't seen some of those guys in so long, and to step back and see them, I think I see them every day. It's just the relationship is still strong, and just a special group of men now, and it was great watching them. They've got kids running around, and they've got their own families now, and they not only were good football players, we thought they were going to be great people, and they're so successful. There's 2 doctors in that group. There's lawyers, there's architects, there's engineers, there's business owners. It doesn't surprise me at all how successful that group has been, but it was great seeing them.
Kerry, that's some of the things that get lost in high school sports, some of the values and efforts you taught that team. Look at the great young man and the work ethic they have because of maybe high school football.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, there's an impact. It had an impact on me. I'm coaching today and teaching today because of a football coach in my life that came to my hometown and turned things around. I love the impact he had on our community and our school through the game of football, and I love the impact it had on my life. And I know I was drawn to coaching because of that. My father was a great coach as well, but I think in the football aspect, just being around someone that could have that kind of impact changed my life. And so I certainly know firsthand the value of a good football program if it's run correctly and you instill the right values and just reinforcing what mom and dad are trying to reinforce and being there for kids that don't have a good parent situation. So it's a platform. Football is a platform. It teaches a lot of things about life and adversity and how to handle things. And I'm just privileged to have been doing this as long as I have, and just fortunate to be around so many good people.
Well, Kerry, that was a good point that you made right there, to be there for these kids that sometimes don't have the best kind of home life, and unfortunately it seems like we're getting to see that more and more every year.
Yeah, we are, and it's people just don't realize how special these kids are, and how many of them are a bit troubled or the way they are because of a home situation, and we take it pretty serious, the responsibility to be there for them and to try to instruct them in the proper way to handle things and do things. And the greatest joy of coaching is watching your boys come into your program and hopefully leave your program better equipped to handle life's challenges and better equipped to handle the highs and lows, and how to be a good, successful person as well as be a good person when things don't go well, because not everybody handles success or failure very well sometimes, and football can teach you how to do that, to be humble in success and to stay positive when things don't go well. And again, there's a lot of great kids out there that just need someone in their life maybe to put them in the right direction.
Well, Kerry, it's been a joy talking to you this morning. We appreciate your time here on the Sports Couch. Again, congratulations on the big come-from-behind victory last night over Cahokia, and your 1-0 in conference play, and good luck as you move through the conference schedule, and we'll talk to you down the line, okay?
Sounds great, guys. I appreciate the time. Thank you.
All right, have a good weekend. Appreciate it. Okay, bye-bye. That's Coach Kerry Martin of the Marion Wildcats. A huge come-from-behind victory last night over Cahokia, 23-20. Jaden Lacey, a special athlete for the Marion Wildcats. If you ever had a chance to see Marion play, that's a guy you want to see, as he's able to do a lot of things, and he did it last night. A kickoff return and then a touchdown late in the game to preserve the victory for the Wildcats.
Well, there's some very special young men out here in these high school sports and have some great talent, and he's a name that you'll probably hear at some university coming up in the future.
Very, very a possibility, that's for sure. Hey, stick around. We're going to be visiting with Frank Cusumano of KSDK-TV Channel 5 coming up next. Will the Cardinals get into the playoffs? Ooh, it's not looking good after that loss last night at San Francisco against the Giants. We'll let Frank weigh in on that. We'll talk a little bit about the L.A. Rams and probably some college football, too. All that and more coming up with Frank next on the Sports Couch. Stay tuned.
It's the local sports talk show that everyone is talking about. It's the Sports Couch on 90.9 The Vine and AreaSports.net.
B-Way Design and Decorating in Fairfield provides complete design and installation of custom cabinets, flooring, paint, draperies, and interior design services for residential and commercial interiors, along with custom windows, countertops, and decorative accessories. B-Way Design and Decorating is located at 1000 East Main in Fairfield. Their website is bwaydesignllc.com, and their phone number is 842-9216. We are thankful for their underwriting support. 105.5 and 90.9 The Vine is thankful for the ministry partnership with Country Bob's All-Purpose Sauce in Centralia. Country Bob's product line includes the original all-purpose sauce, seasoning salt, barbecue sauce, spicy all-purpose sauce, honey habanero, apple chipotle, and marinara. Country Bob's is located on U.S. Highway 51 south of Centralia and can be reached by calling 800-373-2140. Christian music and American programming on the Vine is made possible by Wes Rogers Tire and Auto Service in Mount Vernon. Located at 1321 South 10th Street in Mount Vernon, Wes Rogers Tire and Auto Service offers customer service the way it should be and is 100% locally owned and operated. With ASE certified mechanics, Wes Rogers Tire and Auto Service is committed to your complete auto care satisfaction. Their phone number is 315-6497, and we are thankful for their support.
And welcome back to the Sports Couch here live on a Saturday morning on 105.5 and 90.9 The Vine Radio and streaming live worldwide on both of our websites. Live video streaming at AreaSports.net, live audio streaming at WVYN.org. Trying to make a connection right now with Frank Cusumano. We've been texting back and forth this morning, and he might be on the phone with somebody else right now, but we'll catch him here in just a moment to talk to him about Cardinal baseball. As we look at the standings this morning, Danny, it's not looking good for the Cardinals' chances to make that wild card game because they're now 2 games behind out of that situation. And, you know, again, chasing the Mets and the Giants, and they lost to the Giants again last night.
Well, and the Cardinals have been such road warriors all season long, Randy, and now they seem to be struggling out on the West Coast. The offense has kind of disappeared, and I don't know. There's a lot of questions on this Cardinals team. It makes you wonder if all the different lineups has kind of kept some people from getting into a rhythm. I heard a pretty interesting comment this week. The question was to Mike Matheny, how come he didn't show the patience with Colton Wong and Randall Gerchik battling through some hitting woes and stuff early in the season. These are 2 of the key young players that the Cardinals have touted over the offseason that they're going to build this team around, and they're going to be future stars on this team. And then he's got some veteran players that are really struggling and stuff right now, and he continues to stick with those and put those guys in the lineup night in, night out. And the question posed to him was just why, and there wasn't much of a response out of that. And it's a known fact that Mike's very loyal to his veteran players, and that's what the veterans really like about him, that he'll stick with them in good times and in bad, it seems like.
Well, you know, it's just been a roller coaster season. I mean, what more can you say? A real roller coaster season. Just when you thought that the Cardinals were going to, you know, right the ship and come up with some signature wins, or what could be signature wins, like that crazy come-from-behind victory in Pittsburgh, you know, where they scored all those runs in the 9th inning, and then some other things. You know, they bounced back after a tough start in Game 2 against the Cubs in that most recent series, and you think that, you know, maybe that's going to be the game that's going to start to propel them. And then since that time, you know, they've fallen flat on their face. And, I mean, Jaime Garcia has been brutal now as a starting pitcher.
And Anthony Reyes is going to take his place on Sunday.
Yeah, he is. And, you know, yes, we've hit a lot of home runs this year, and that's been great. It's been fun to watch all the home runs. I mean, they're setting records now with all the home runs. But, you know, the pitching, for a while it's the starting pitching that struggles, and the bullpen's okay. Then all of a sudden the bullpen struggles, and the starting pitching's okay. It's just been one fiasco after another, back and forth.
It's just been a trade-off all season long. And then when the pitching's good, they can't hit, and it's definitely been a struggle. I don't know if it's team chemistry, philosophies, just playing so many different people. I'm not real sure what the deal is here. It's been a tough season here for the St. Louis Cardinals. I think Randy's made contact with Frank.
Yeah, we've got Frank Cusumano of KSDK-TV Channel 5 joining us on the phone right now. Good morning, Frank. How are you?
Randy, great to be with you. How are you doing today?
Oh, doing great. Danny and I were just sitting here talking about the Cardinals and the fact that, boy, it's a tough situation now. They got their backs up against the wall, trailing this wild card race by 2 games and losing these first 2 in San Francisco. That's not a good thing, is it?
Yeah, it's brutal, and I know you know, a lot of people want to blame the manager. I really have a tough time doing that because, you know, it's a pitching. They're not getting enough of it. I think they're heading into last night since the All-Star break. They're 26th in ERA. You got to keep in mind that last year, the overall ERA was the lowest in Major League Baseball since 1988. So to paraphrase James Carville, who ran Bill Clinton's campaign once, it's not the economy stupid, it's the pitching stupid. That's the story of this season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really has been. Jaime Garcia, he's totally missing in action now, isn't he?
He is. I said the other night after they yanked him in the second that he'll never start another game for the St. Louis Cardinals. I don't think he will. And I mean, he may pitch again, in mop-up roles, but I think his tenure in St. Louis is over.
I'm like you, Frank. I think that was probably the end of Jaime Garcia. I don't look for the Cardinals to pick up that option. They've got to move on. They've got to get a frontline pitcher.
Yeah, you got to remember that heading into next season, their number one is going to be Carlos. Their number two is going to be Lance Lynn. Then Wainwright and Leake, probably 3 and 4. And then the options of, Reyes, Waka, Weaver, maybe Marco Gonzalez. I mean, you got a lot of options. I think what you should probably do, though, is sign Jaime Garcia and get something for him.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's probably some value. It's the relationship here has probably got to end, though.
Mm-hmm. You think the resurgence of Colton Wong here late in the season is going to keep him around in a Cardinal uniform? Because he's responded much better here as of late.
He has, and, he's like one of the few guys, especially infielder-wise, he has the potential to be a plus infielder. I mean, no matter what position Carpenter plays.
Frank, you're breaking up on us a little bit. If maybe you can move just a little bit. I think your cell reception is breaking up on us a bit. Thanks.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's a little better right now?
Yeah, that's better. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think Wong's asset is that he's a defensive player. And Lord knows the Cardinals don't have many of those. So I think next year, heading into the season, Carpenter's your first baseman, and then Wong, Diaz, Jerko, and Peralta will split time at those other 3 positions. I think they'd be fine there.
Well, first base is going to be interesting too. I mean, what do you do there? Do you stay with Moss and company, or where do you go?
I believe Matt Carpenter is going to be your everyday first baseman, and then Moss will be your left fielder. They're going to sign him to a long-term contract, and they'll probably part ways with Holiday, unless Holiday would agree to a 1-year deal at $10 million. I don't think they're going to pick up his extension and give him $17 million.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Moss, you've got to sign. I mean, I know he's in a slump right now, but boy, what a year he has had. And where would the Cardinals be if Brandon Moss hadn't done what he's done this year?
Yeah, when you sign him, you got to realize you're going to have some famine moments, but you're also going to have some feast moments. And at the end of the season, if he's at 30 home runs, that's a pretty good season. Now, it'll be interesting to see how crazy the offers are for Moss. I mean, it could get insane, and I don't think the Cardinals want to do anything insane here,
Mm-hmm.
but if you're prepared to give him 3 years at about 12 to 13 or 14 million, then I think it'll work out. He wants to stay here. He definitely wants to stay.
Yeah. Well, Jed Jerko's been another great addition to the Cardinals this year, and again, his bat has been special, and you add those 2 guys together and look at the home runs they've hit really as part-time players.
Yeah, and that's why that John Jay, who I think has 2 home runs, that Jay for Jerko trade, where the Padres are actually picking up some of Jerko's money.
Right.
It's a crazy great deal for the Cardinals, and Jed Jerko has got to be a part of the equation next year.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to stick with Piscotty and Wright. Is Grichuk going to still be the center fielder?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have to live with Grichuk and his strikeouts and maybe a low batting average, but if he's giving you speed, defense, arm, and probably 30 home runs, that's fine. You can live with that, and he'll improve. So I think they're fine there with a couple of 25-year-olds in right field and in center field.
I think the Cardinals really have an emerging superstar, Frank, in Aledmus Diaz. I just think he's going to be a phenomenal player for the years to come. What do you think?
Ray, we've never had anybody like him. I mean, when have we had a shortstop that has speed and that has power? I mean, Edgar Renteria hit some home runs, and Peralta did hit some home runs, but not the speed element. I mean, this is I can still remember I was in spring training. We were in the media room. It's late, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and this sport utility vehicle pulls up, and then a couple of guys in suits walk out of it, and then Diaz comes out in full uniform. They take him to the backfield, they work him out, and as they say, the rest is history. What a future, what a player.
Yeah, he really is. I've got him on my baseball fantasy team, and I'm glad I do.
Oh, yeah, you picked him up?
Yeah, I did. I picked him up, and I also picked up O as well. So I was lucky to get both those guys. And I think O is going to be a big member of our bullpen for a long time to go. What do you think?
Yeah, O has been sensational. And I think one of the most interesting questions, in fact, I talked to the commissioner, Rick Hummel, about this yesterday. I think one of the most interesting questions is what happens when they go to spring training next year as the closer. I mean, is it an open competition, or do you give it to the guy who clearly was better last season? No, I think Trevor Rosenthal is going to be fine. Bottom line is he's 25 or 26, and he still throws 100 miles an hour. You know, relief pitchers can have a little hiccup, and as we've seen, he also was injured. So I think they're pretty set there at that closing spot for years to come.
Rosenthal looked pretty good again last night in his first game off of rehab, didn't he?
You know what? Can you repeat that?
Trevor Rosenthal looked pretty good last night in his appearance he made for the Cardinals in that game last night, kind of in a mop-up role.
He did, and I'm glad, they got him in a mop-up role. I think the next time you see him, it'll be a high-leverage situation. And, it should be, because, look, heading into this season, his 93 saves were the most in the National League over the last 2 years. If he's healthy, you got to pitch this guy.
He throwed the ball down in the strike zone last night. The last batter he got out, he got 2 strikes with 2 high-octane fastballs, and then he throwed him a slider, and this guy was just completely lost. It was batting, and I thought it was a good exhibition by him last night.
Yeah, there's not many guys who can throw up in the strike zone and get away with it. Jason Mott in his prime could do that, and now we're seeing, the same thing with Trevor. And if he mixes a few other pitches in there, he's lethal.
Frank, you think we're going to get our third base coach back next year, the secret weapon?
I don't know, and I don't think the Cardinals know at all. He just had really some bad issues with his knees and the surgeries. He was just not ready to come to St. Louis. I think it'd be a great move. I asked John Mozeliak that same question about a week ago in his office, and he doesn't know what Jose wants to do. I think he can perform a role, working with younger players and throughout the minor league system, but I'm not sure if Jose wants to go through the grind of traveling, a Major League Baseball season again. Well,
I think they really missed Oquendo, though, this year, not only as the third base coach, but I think some of the errors and some of the miscues that we've had on the infield and stuff this year, I have to feel like some of that might not have happened if you have Oquendo there every day in the dugout and with the team. What do you think?
Well, some of it for sure, could have been improved. I mean, if you have a guy who was once an outstanding defensive shortstop and you have a rookie shortstop out there, it makes sense. I mean, Jose Oquendo around Aledmus Diaz every day would have had to have improved, the errors for the youngster early. And then, you just wanted Oquendo to be around Colton Wong as much as possible. He's the modern-day George Kissel, and when he's not around the club, they're not as good.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's switch topics here real quick. We got to talk a little bit about the L.A. Rams. I'm sure you're like Danny and I. You probably didn't shed any tears when the Rams played so poorly in their first game there against the 49ers.
I haven't been that interested in a Rams game since Mike Martz was the coach. I mean, that day, let me tell you, I got up that day at about 4:30 in the morning and drove to Murray, Kentucky to watch my daughter play in a golf tournament. And I walked 36 holes in really heavy heat. That game comes on at 9:15 at night, and I stayed up for every play and enjoyed every second of it. And it helped the fact that Blaine Gabbert, a kid we covered at Parkway West High School in St. Louis, had a fine game running and throwing the ball. It was so spectacular for the country to see what we've been witnessing. In fact, Mr. Gabbert told me the other day that he's in the stands and all these Rams fans in San Francisco or in Santa Clara that night were like stunned at just how bad they were. And Mr. Gabbert turned to them and he said, "This is what we've seen for the last decade in St. Louis. Good luck."
Yeah, I guess the sports writer at the L.A. Times has ripped them, and of course some people on ESPN have ripped them and ripped Stan Kroenke already. And boy, they were brutal. You know, you got to think about the fact that the whole time that the Rams were in St. Louis, at least under Jeff Fisher, I don't think they were ever shut out completely under Jeff Fisher in St. Louis, were they?
No, but they were close to being shut out. So, look, this guy, it's the eighth wonder of the world that he has an NFL head coaching job and that they're actually discussing a contract extension. It really is. He's had 6 winning seasons in 21 years. And it's like his offenses are from the 60s. You know, I contend that you could get some really qualified high school coaches and put together a better offense than Jeff Fisher has. You know what it is, too? It's living proof to this theory that if you get along with people and you are friendly with your boss and you treat people well, it's not so much about production. That's how you keep your job in some cases. That's how he's kept his job. You have a guy like Mike Martz, who, according to some, didn't play well with others for a little stretch. He was 20 games over 500 and the architect of the greatest offense ever assembled, and he couldn't get a head coaching job. But Fisher, who looks good in the suit, talks to the media, got along with his owner and his GM, you know, this guy is one of the highest paid coaches in NFL history. And when the Rams go 6-10 this year, he'll be the losingest coach in NFL history.
I think you're being kind by saying they're going to win 6 this year, Frank. I don't know that they'll win more than 4.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so.
Well, do you think there's any chance that the St. Louis community, that the city will see maybe a soccer franchise come in, since we have no more NFL team?
I do. I think the wheels are turning, and I've talked to some people about it, and I think it could happen before the new year that the actual announcement is made. It looks like the owner is going to come from outside of St. Louis, and then he'll be joined by, 10 or 11 people in the community. They're going to be part-time owners, kind of like with the Blues, or have a minority share. And, I think there's a great chance the MLS will be coming to St. Louis.
Well, that's exciting. It really is. Well, you mentioned your daughter's playing golf down at Murray State. How is she doing down there?
Yeah, well, she golfs for SIU Carbondale, but she was in a tournament down there, and she had a really good tournament. Yep.
Excellent. That is great. That's great. A chip off the old block, is that true?
Actually, I think good golfing skips a generation, so I didn't give her the skills, but I drove her to all the tournaments.
Yeah.
you got caddy deal,
That's
huh?
right.
A lot of good college football games today, too. Which ones are you zeroed in on today, Frank?
Well, I think the Mizzou, Georgia game is going to be really interesting. I'm a big Barry Odom fan, and I'm starting to really enjoy watching Drew Lock throw the football. So we'll find out for sure what they're like today. I mean, their defense has been troubling and shocking because they've been so good in years past, but you got a quarterback that's got a little bit of a swagger. And this is the first game that Drew Lock's going to play in the SEC where he actually goes in with a great deal of confidence.
What do you think about Lovie Smith being at Illinois? They're buzzing up there in Champaign.
They should be. We got to know and cover Lovie here in St. Louis. And I'm telling you, recruiting-wise, he's already come into St. Louis and got 2 really good players. I cannot picture him not making a huge impression when he walks into a living room. He's probably got 2 Super Bowl rings on. And his integrity and character are outstanding. I think Lovie's going to have a wonderful run there.
I agree, Frank. I think so. But the bigger question today is Randy's Michigan State Spartans. Now, last week, Frank, he was so excited because they beat some cupcake team. But today they play Notre Dame, and I asked him if he thought this was going to be a little bigger challenge or if this was going to be another cupcake matchup, and he thought it'd be a good game here today.
There will be a battle tonight in Notre Dame. That'll be a tough one in Notre Dame.
Yeah, I love the Notre Dame quarterback, and I think Notre Dame at home. I like the Fighting Irish tonight.
Yeah, they're the favorite.
The Spartans are going down.
They're the favorite.
I'm glad to hear that, Frank. I like your way of thinking.
Yeah, how do you become a Michigan State fan living in Mount Vernon?
Well, my son went to law school there. So,
okay.
Yeah, he did his undergraduate at Illinois, and I've always been a Illini fan too. And then he went to law school at Michigan State. So, and of course I've always loved Tom Izzo and the basketball program up there.
Yeah, he's great. Speaking of Mount Vernon, I don't know. I have family there.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that name, Cusumano?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. I know a lot of them. Yep.
Yeah, in fact, they're like the only family that my mom says I should claim because the rest are in organized crime. They're like legitimate there.
That's great. That's great. They're probably listening right now, too, so that's wonderful. Hey, a couple other games I want to ask you your picks on tonight. Florida State at Louisville. What do you think of that one?
You know, for as much as a scoundrel as the Louisville coach is, Louisville at home, I think that's the upset of the day. Not a huge upset. It's a 2 versus 10. But I like Louisville's chances tonight.
Yeah, and then what about Colorado against Michigan?
Oh, Colorado's going to get blown out. I definitely take Michigan and give up the point.
Well, there's been a lot of hype, preseason hype this year on the Michigan Wolverines. Do you think they're really as good as what the hype has been?
I do, and I believe in Harbaugh. I think he's one of the most fascinating characters in sports. He's recruiting up a storm. And look what he did. Look what happened to the 49ers after he left. Look where the 49ers were before he was there. I think he's really one of the great coaches in the league.
Yeah. Well, Frank, it's always been fun talking to you. We appreciate your time on the Sports Couch. Always love you to share your knowledge with us here. And again, some of your family members here always love to listen to when you're on the show with us from time to time. So thanks for giving us some time this morning, okay?
Great to be with you guys. Have a good day.
Okay, you have a great weekend. Appreciate it, Frank. Bye-bye. That's Frank Cusumano from KSDK-TV Channel 5, and again, you can watch him do sports on there, and does a lot of really neat feature stories, too, and I didn't have a chance to ask him there, Danny, but he did a feature story on a local high school athlete here just in the last couple of days that is really neat, and he gets out and really uncovers some gems like that. It's pretty cool.
He does a great job for them, but I was kind of intrigued by his thoughts on the Cardinals. You know, the lineup he was listing off there, I don't see a lot of changes in that group for next season.
No, he didn't mention a lot of changes, and of course, I thought it was interesting. He thought that Moss was going to be the left fielder rather than Holiday, and that he didn't think that we would sign Holiday again unless Holiday would agree to take lower money. He felt like that Carpenter was going to be the everyday first baseman next year.
Peralta and Jerko at third base splitting that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So no new faces there, but of course,
and in the pitching deal,
yeah,
it's I thought it was interesting. He wasn't real pleased with the outcome of the pitching this season. He thought that's where the blame was, but the list of names he read off was the same names.
Although
Jaime Garcia was the only one don't think he'll be back.
Although you're assuming, again, that Marco Gonzalez is going to be available next year, recuperating from that injury and that surgery he had. And Waka, is he still going to have anything left in the tank? We'll find out. Is Lance Lynn going to be as sharp? So, I mean, yeah, if everybody is healthy, even without Jaime Garcia, you got 7 or 8 quality starters there to choose from. That could be your starting pitchers next year, but are they going to stay healthy? That's the question. And then what do you do in that bullpen? Again, you got to keep O for sure, and
you're going to keep O, Rosenthal,
Rosenthal,
Sechrist. Those 3 names will be back, but you've also got some guys that's injured and hurt out there.
Yeah,
Duke, he's done a pretty decent job since he came in at the trade deadline there. So
yeah, I think they ought to get rid of Broxton and trade him for a book of postage stamps or something.
I don't think he'll be back.
He has been brutal. He has been brutal. He really has been. I do like the idea of what Frank said about maybe going ahead and doing the option on Garcia and then using him as trade bait, assuming somebody wants him. But I think the option on him is what, 11 or 12 million? Which, honestly, for a starting pitcher nowadays, that's not bad. So, I mean, if the Cardinals do want to exercise that option for $12 million and then, dangle him out there to try to get either another relief pitcher or maybe another bat somewhere, maybe so, But I do agree with Frank that the trade, that we did with San Diego, where we sent John
that was
Jay
a great trade
for Jerko. I mean, that's been one of the biggest deals of the year for sure for the Cardinals, because where would the Cardinals be without Jerko and without Moss?
But on this Garcia deal, you're going to give him $12 million, then you're going to try to trade him.
Mm-hmm.
Why not just not give him the $12 million and take the $12 million and go get somebody?
No, I agree with that too. That's another good way to look at it.
You know, why worry about having to package him? For one thing, you're not going to trade him one-on-one to get any kind of – you're not going to
No.
get a $12 million player in return for him.
No.
Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm an opposing GM, and you've got Jaime Garcia, and you call me and say, hey, I'd like to trade you Jaime Garcia. We got him signed at $12 million. What will you give me in return?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not giving you a $12 million value player back. I can promise you that.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, well, I got this guy here in AAA.
Yeah.
Just moved up from AA. That I think we'd consider giving you one-on-one if you want to do that. But I'd really like you to pick up about $2 million of that salary.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think the Cardinals might be better served to hold on to that $12 million and use it to try to go out and get another stick.
I just don't think he's durable enough. You know, the talk yesterday was that Garcia has just said now he's pitched 164 innings. That's the most he's pitched in the last 5 years, and he thinks he's just tired.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe so, you know, but my goodness sakes, he just has nothing left in the tank.
You
I mean,
know,
nothing.
I just can't believe that the way these guys train and the physical ability they have and all this stuff, you throw 164 innings and you're just gassed.
Yeah. Well, and you also have to wonder if it's about time for for Adam Wainwright to call it a career. I don't think he's got a whole lot more left in the tank either, unfortunately. Although he is so much help in the dugout with younger players and in the clubhouse with the younger players.
Wainwright's to his state in his career, he needs to be a fourth or fifth starter. He's not somebody that you need to be counting on to run out there, that we have to have this two-game losing streak stopped.
Yeah.
He's toward the tail end. I think this will be his last contract. I think when his contract's up, I think you'll see him walk away from baseball.
Yeah. And I do think that he'll end up being involved actually with the Cardinals organization in some way, shape, or form. I think he'll still be around baseball and probably with the Cardinals, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, you know, I mean, there's a lot of interesting things, but the Cubs clinching like they have has showed Cardinal Nation that, you know, it's not like the Cubs beat you by 1 or 2 games. And they've got a powerful young team, and when they've had a weakness, they went and tried to improve it.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals have stood pat on, well, we think these guys can get it done. Well, they haven't got it done.
Yeah. Well, let's assume that the wild card race remains like it is right now, and let's assume that it's the Giants and the Mets in that wild card game at San Francisco. I favor the Giants. I just think they got a better lineup and better pitching staff. You got Bumgarner probably going against Syndergaard if the starters line up like they should. And an interesting thing to look at is if the Giants do win the wild card and then they would turn around and face the Cubs, okay, in the playoffs. If you look at the head-to-head this year between the Giants and the Cubs have dominated the Cubs.
Yeah.
The Giants are a tough matchup for the Cubs.
Yeah, you know, when you get to playoff baseball, you know, anything can happen. Look how bad the Cardinals have played, and heading into this last series, they're 8-8 right now.
Right, we're 8-8 with the Cubs. So I think the Achilles heel this year, if there is one for the Cubs, and they don't have many because they're having a spectacular year, no doubt about it, have been the Giants and the Cardinals. That's been their Achilles heel. It's been the two teams that they've struggled with.
Well, and I tell you another thing. I just hate to see a team clinch this early, because I think it's going to be a challenge for the Cubs to stay sharp and be ready to come out in playoff baseball at their top level. You know, they've clinched. The starters aren't going to play here for a couple of days. They've been celebrating and having a good time, and justfully so. But I'm telling you, when you take that edge off that knife, it don't cut near as good.
No, that's exactly right. And even if the Cubs don't do it this year, I think it's safe bet to say that the Cubs are going to be good and going to be in the hunt for the next several years because they got a young team and they got a lot of talent. And even though they haven't won anything yet, okay, reminder, Cub fans, you haven't won anything yet, all right? But I'll acknowledge you got a good team, and they should be good for years to come.
They got a great team, and they got a good core group of young nucleus players.
They do.
They got a lot of strength. They field the baseball well. They just massacre the baseball. They knock it all over the park, you know. And the guy they got catching is really making an impression on me. He's a better catcher than people give him credit for being. And if they could get one more primetime starter to go with that pitching, they could be lights out, night in, night out.
Well, and they're willing to spend the money to do it, that's for sure. No doubt
right.
about it. Danny, we're out of time. We got to get out of here, but it's been a good show. Appreciate all the guests that have been on with us this morning. We've had Brandon Hampton, Joe Rivers, Kerry Martin, Brian Tackitt, and, of course, Frank Cusumano. So we appreciate all those guests being on with us this morning, and thanks to the sponsors for making it all possible. Also want to mention, too, here real quick, got a message from Frontier Community College, and that, of course, from Marty Slover. The Bobcat softball camp has been canceled for today. We've talked about that a lot. The Frontier Community College Bobcat softball camp has been canceled. They will try it again next year. Just too wet today.
Not dry enough?
No. Marty says it's just a quagmire out there.
Yeah, I'm sure. Also, don't forget the big cross-country meet going on over at Olney today. Mount Vernon, Hamilton County, and some other local schools are over there running that, and it's a big meet over there today.
And if you want to see high school football this afternoon, you got a lot to choose from. Beginning this morning at 11 o'clock down in McLeansboro, Vienna will be at Hamilton County at 11 o'clock. You've also got the 2 o'clock game today in Mount Vernon between Belleville-Altoff and Mount Vernon. And let's see, you got
4, 5, 7, 6.
Got them all over the place tonight.
So,
they'll try to Fairfield and Edwards County again tonight at 7 o'clock over in Albion. All right, that's it. Let's get out of here. All right, appreciate it. And again, we'll be back next Saturday morning, same time, same place, 8:30. It's 90 minutes of great local sports talk right here on the Sports Couch on AreaSports.net and 90.9 The Vine. Have a great weekend, everyone. So long.
This is your home for best Christian music.
WVYN, Blueford, Wayne City, Fairfield, Mount Vernon.
And now on Translator, W288CO Centralia, broadcasting at 105.5.
A service of Real Life Radio Foundation.
The best Christian music, 90.9